Go for it.
Issac, doing?
All right.
He's leading.
All right. Well, we don't need him.
Oh my gosh, guys, look at those nice blue shorts that he was wearing.
Did you see his calves? Total
Yes,
marathon runner.
they so look like, and he was even, kind of prancing into the bedroom, just like a marathon runner.
That's how he runs, I guess.
Like a gazelle. Just
Yeah,
smooth.
like it goes. Oh, did you see Malacca run?
Oh, and look, he
Much
keeps his arms
smoother.
down next to his side. It
Oh,
looks
look.
so professional.
Very muscular arms. Ladies, I don't know how this guy is still single.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Packers podcast for episode 11 of season 3. Memorial Day weekend has come and passed, a little bit hectic and chaotic in more ways than one. We'll try to break down as much as we can with myself, Mason, with the Pelkeys, Becca, and Jessup, and returning from the desert, Mr. John Breckle. I hope you brought some of that warm weather back with you, John.
I brought a little bit, but you know what I really brought with this week back to the podcast?
What's that?
I brought the glare.
I thought he was going to say his toe.
And it definitely, well, that too, but it definitely did affect some birds traveling across the strip, as well as, some planes they had to reroute a little bit because there was just so much shine coming off of it that it even actually fried a bird at one point when it hit one of the skyscrapers from the strip.
We could have used some more of that shine up here this weekend. But anyways,
this is true.
Before we get into our episode, we got to thank our presenting sponsor, Hitch Harness, and Tyler Hall out of Fertile, Minnesota. Didn't get any racing in for Tyler this week, so got a lot of family time. I know he's been spending time with his kids, I believe working on a go-kart for his son, and so hopefully we'll see some more racers out of that family coming up pretty soon. But we're kind of getting into the summer season mode, and especially if you're a truck owner and own receiver hitches, you should check out hitchharness.com. Has a very innovative product focused on safety and efficiency. I know it's kind of been a hot topic at tracks with debris cautions. Do you let the debris sit on the track? Well, it could become a projectile, just like your receiver hitch if it's not securely stored. So Hitch Harness is there to alleviate that. Check out the products. They can pick the style that you want. And you can also check out other products for the racers as well. And so thank you once again, Tyler, for supporting us on the Track Packers for another season. And so this week, as you can see, the lineup is shifted very much so. Myself, Mason, I am on the pole. I think this might be the first time I've been on the pole this year. Becca is second, followed by Jessup and Mr. John Breckle for the lineup this week. So I'll go to Becca first. How are you doing?
I am doing pretty good. I'm a little bit tired. It's a little bit too late for me to be podcasting, waiting on John as usual.
It's 8:15.
I'm tired.
8:15. And at race nights, you're up until 1. Maybe 2.
I had
you know what?
Dakota
this
Speedway
just deserves a caution.
I had a 7 a.m. Dakota Speedway board meeting. I've been up since 6.
What time did you get up on Saturday morning?
Saturday morning?
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning.
Saturday morning.
Why Saturday?
Saturday morning I got up around 7:30.
Interesting.
Mason, I see where you're going with it. I saw where you were going. But
very interesting.
7:30 she got up on Saturday morning and was up until at least 1, maybe even 2. And then today she gets up at 6 and it hits 8 o'clock and she's just dead ass tired.
I worked all
day. So did I.
Whatever. I don't effing care.
Well,
Don't-
good to hear that you're doing all right. Mr. Jessup, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. All things considered, I'm doing good.
And you're done with school right now, or do you have
Yep.
one more week left?
I'm done with school. I got a conference I got to go to next week for 3 days. And then,
It's just news to me.
no, I told you over 2 months ago, but it's in Bismarck, so it really doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Anyhow, I'm pretty much done, Mason.
Perfect. John, how have you been doing this week?
I'm good. I'm back. Vegas was fun. It was busy, but it was fun. We went to a show, had a lot of fun on that one too at the MGM. And had a good week overall. And then we got back, and it was cold and rainy on Friday when I got back. And then Saturday was a lot better weather-wise, and then the weather was super weird on Sunday and super weird on Monday. But besides that, it was a good Memorial Day weekend, although Mother Nature was definitely a problem for most of the weekend.
Yeah, it definitely was. My weekend was kind of up and down, and in general, I think racing this weekend was up and down. And so Memorial Day weekend is one of my favorite weekends, and it's always fun to see everyone that travels across the region and see a whole bunch of racers and fans at the track. And so yeah, now this week is kind of getting back into the racing mode. Got the full marathon coming up on Saturday, so be interested to see how that goes this upcoming weekend, and hopefully some good weather for that as well. Of course, if you're a listener and watch our show, be sure to like and follow so you stay up to date on our comments. Give us a 5-star review on the various podcasting platforms. Listener shout outs, Ryan Michelson, appreciate you checking us out from Alexandria. I did get some listener shout outs from Lisbon. I don't know the names of those individuals, but because of the weather, they know my shenanigans. And so I got a couple of those yesterday in Lisbon, unfortunately. But
I love how that just stuck.
We are good.
I love how it continues.
Yes.
We are good people.
yeah.
And it's not just even Mason anymore. I mean, it's Mason and
And-
Kayla. They are just the rain clouded people of dirt track racing in the upper
No.
Midwest.
Well, and
I'm
now
sur-
we're getting even blamed for rainouts when we're not even at the track.
You thought about going there.
I didn't think
Yeah.
about going to Watertown on Sunday, and they got rained out.
You were there
But
the
you
week
had been there.
before. You
You
had
had
been
already
there.
been
Good
there
call,
this
John.
year.
Like
Good.
2.5, 3 weeks ago.
That
How
means you had
far
still
is Mason? How far
you'd
is
still spread your
That's
pollen
called
all
Mason
over.
residue. The residue of Mason being around the track is still his aura isn't present.
Yes.
Well, to answer your question, Becca, Watertown's 2 hours from me. Where
too
I was at on
close.
Saturday, I don't know exactly how close they are. Like 2.5, maybe.
close, Mason? Too close.
It was fine where I was at.
Was it though? Oh.
On Saturday, it was fine.
Not what you said. It was fine where you were at.
On
Meaning,
Saturday.
no.
Sorry, that doesn't count.
Sunday, it was not. Mason, go to the rear of the field, please.
Saturday and Sunday were fine where I was at.
Where were you at?
Although
You know
Although
where
when
I was
Mason went
at,
to-
you goof.
when Mason went to Alexandria on Sunday, and when Kayla went to Alexandria on Sunday, they ran into some light showers before they got to the racetrack.
Oh,
That was Kayla. That was not me. I was already at the track.
John.
You can throw that
Yep.
on Kayla. Anyways, back to our main show. Why don't we just throw the green flag and get things started with who or what are we repping? I'll let Becca go first once again.
Okay. So I am wearing a special custom made shirt from one of our listeners. His name is Travis Humphrey. He's a former Thunder 4 Dakota Speedway track champion. John knows because he already got a sneak peek of this. But apparently, the one race that we did get in at Dakota Speedway back on May 10th, there were some really exciting features, late race cautions, came out near the end of the race. And apparently, I may have mentioned the phrase, John, this changes everything once, maybe twice. And he was watching the Dakota Speedway broadcast. So him and his wife specially made me this beautiful t-shirt that says, John, this changes everything. So,
Oh my
and then
goodness.
he also made one for baby Pelkey. So that's already hanging up in our closet, but I thought that was great and very thoughtful that Travis and his wife, who live 2 houses down the street from Jessup and I, made this shirt for me, and this is pretty cool. I thought it'd be the perfect fit for tonight. So never did say that in Jamestown. There were more than enough cautions from the start, middle, and very end of each feature race that it just didn't work out to say that in Jamestown. But fingers crossed, the weather holds out for this particular weekend, and we'll see some fantastic, thrilling, exciting racing both in Mandan, where we'll be Friday and Saturday in Jamestown, and we'll see what happens.
Excellent. That is a perfect shirt for Becca. And if you've ever listened to a broadcast or been to the track, you've probably heard Becca say that at least once or twice. Excellent. That's a really cool shirt. I will go next to Mr. John Breckel. We'll go in a different order this week. What are you repping?
Okay, so this upcoming weekend, there is actually a pretty big special over in Fergus Falls. And I saw that Race Central had put down previous winners for the race weekend. And last year's winner was Brad Sang. And I was like, you know what? I should bring out my Brad Sang shirt. So that's what I did. I am wearing Brad Sang's number 12 late model shirt. It is a red shirt. It's got his 12 number on the back, just a big 12 on the back, no car directly on that. But yes, so I am representing Brad Sang for this podcast.
Excellent. Yeah. And I think that last year at the King of the Dirt, I think that was his first win in Fergus Falls.
I believe so. It was his first win, I think, in Fergus Falls.
Yep. And he dominated that race. And he was kind of like surprised more than anyone when I actually got to interview him in Victory Lane. He's just like, yeah, I'm usually not very good here. I'm like, well, you kind of waxed him. So he had the right setup in that day at least. And so cool. Awesome shirt. Jessup, are you ready to go next on who are you repping?
Of course I am.
Go for
I
it.
am repping a local legend driver today, and it is none other than Donovan Weist. Kind of a really cool shirt, to be honest. It's very classy, very simplistic. Can we see it?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, good shirt to represent our locals, and yeah, I like it.
Excellent. That is, I don't know if I have that shirt, but I've seen those shirts before, and yeah, they look cool. I do agree with that. I'll finish it off with who or what are you repping. I went into my archives because last week I kind of teased at this track a little bit, or kind of gave a sneak preview of this shirt, but this is a shirt from the Northport International Raceway in Northport, Washington. As you can see, it's a little faded from 2008. I have relatives that used to live near this track, and when I visited them during high school, I'm like, I want to go see some dirt track racing. Well, this was the closest place that was to them, like 30, 40 minutes away, and so got to go there. And basically the way it's set up, it's kind of like a bowl. So you kind of sit on the outskirts of the track and watch the racing down below. And so not a lot of cars were there that night, but it was a fun experience, and get to say I've been to a racetrack in the state of Washington, and it's in the eastern part, so really dry. So racing conditions were also very dry. But as of 2023, August of last year, they do still hold races there. Kind of non-sanctioned stuff, and they have like a whole mix of cars and like IMCA modified. So you kind of see those, but they're just not sanctioned from what I've seen. So that's what we are repping for this episode. We will now move on to our hot sauce hot memory rewind with Jessup Pelkey, and give a shout out to our good friend Issac Hot Sauce Sondrol. Got a couple races in this weekend. Looked really good in both of them. Unfortunately, had some trouble on Saturday in Jamestown. It sounded like he had an oil cord of some sort.
Leak. Yep,
Yeah,
an oil leak that happened.
So got some minor burns on his leg, but got that taken care of, and he was able to race a couple nights later up in Nodak Speedway and came away with the top 5 run there. And so be sure, if you see Issac this weekend, I believe he'll be racing in Dickinson and Minot, stop down in the pits, check out the Sondrol Snack Chat and all the goodies they have lots of good stuff and some of the nicest people to talk to. So thank you, Issac, for your support of the Track Packers as well. Jessup, go ahead and take it away. I actually do have one thing I wanted to add for this segment, so carry on.
All right, everybody knows the rules here. John, and the help of the team, has to go and get the driver of each of the three and the year that these photos were taken. Now, John, it's going to be a little easier this time. We're going to keep going in a little bit more of a new trend. I think you'll get it, at least most of these, but we'll see what happens here, okay? So, first one we have, it's going to be this guy.
Oh, Jake Hittner.
Yep.
And year. 2008.
Okay. Anybody else have a guess?
Are they all the same year?
Yes.
I was
can
going to
wait
guess
a
around
little-
07 or 08, but I want to see the other couple before
I would say we'll wait to see the other cars and then we'll determine this.
Next one should be pretty easy.
I don't know if I know that one.
I think I might know this one. I want to say his last name is Ogston. Joey Ogston.
Oh, winner.
I was say that one I wasn't sure of. So high five, Mason.
Good job, Mason. Last but not least, this one's going to be a little more challenging.
Rowdy
I know that
Burns.
one.
Who said Rowdy Burns?
Mason, that's awesome.
It's the same font, basically.
Mason, that was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. That one was pretty funny.
That was the first thing that came to my mind.
That's not the first thing that came to my mind. I can't think of the driver's name.
Becca and Mason both get the black flag.
I agree. Jessup, just give them the black flag. That was
They
just
got the black flag, John.
that
for
was just
not being
uncalled
funny.
for on how rude that was for those drivers out there.
This driver's out of Iowa.
Yes, and his brother races too. I just can't think of their names.
Yes.
First
There-
name starts with an N. Last name starts with a B.
Nate Bayenhoff.
It's Nate.
Yes,
Yeah, Nate.
Nate Banoff.
They're from Rock
There.
Rapids.
Thank you. I'll say I knew exactly who they were. I couldn't think of the dang sticking name. Yeah, I'm
What
still sticking with
year?
2008.
You're sticking with 08? 08. Becca's sticking with Days of Thunder. So what is that? 88?
Days of Thunder
86?
came out in 1990.
I would say it was 1990.
Oh, I'm thinking Top Gun then.
Yeah, I'd say 08.
Well, according to the labeling, it is 2012. But if John wants to fact check it, I wonder if he could go to a page and see if we're off on our labeling.
I'll
Okay.
look.
While he's doing
make
that,
sure.
I had a bonus one because I wanted to see if I could get Becca and Jessup to guess this one.
I know that one,
I know John does.
and I know the year too.
You want a hint?
Yeah.
He still races.
This driver still races to this day.
Harry Davenport.
Nope.
No, I'll give you one more.
Okay.
He actually just raced for the first time this season, this past weekend.
He did.
And it's a
Is
North
it-
Dakota guy.
North Dakota guy, number 29, tracks.
Come on, guys. You should be able to get this.
Did he race at Jamestown this past weekend?
No.
Oh. Let me. do
You've definitely seen this person race.
What?
Street stock?
Well, this was a street stock at this point. And then
Street
Look
stock
what I
track
have.
guy.
I- this isn't fair.
Jesus, you
I
guys
came around in 2008, and I wasn't even paying attention back then.
rolled that thought.
I can,
Still
Mason.
a-
I can even
is it
tell
a
you the
stock
year.
car now.
what was the year, John?
98 or 99.
98.
Way before my time.
Was
It's
it a
a
stock
current
car?
driver. What other 29s do you know?
It's a current driver that races a 29 car,
I said
Not-
Harry Davenport.
not in the street stock
Not
division.
in the street stocks.
Is it a modified driver now?
Yes.
And his daughter races.
Oh, Drew Christensen.
There you go.
Really?
Yep.
Yes.
John's clue gave it away.
Yep.
That's cool.
See,
I
now
was
back
not
in
gonna
the
get
day,
that.
at the racetracks, they used to make these little buttons. They were kind of cool.
John was the collector of
I
them
don't
all.
even know who that is.
Jesse Hare.
Would not have guessed
Oh, yeah.
that.
Bismarck's restock driver.
Dang.
So,
I think I have a
you know,
couple of those somewhere, but
Carrie.
that's Carrie Mundo.
Yep, carries. You guys should know this one.
I can't see it. Still can't see it.
Oh.
104.
Come on, guys.
I don't know 104.
One of the best street stock drivers in the state of North Dakota. His son is still racing.
Todd Carter.
Nope. What is another good hint? I'll just say it. Dick Schultz.
Thank you, Mason.
I wouldn't have known that one.
Oh, well,
Actually,
yeah, Jessa probably
I-
wouldn't have known that one. That guy, maybe.
I did
Who is
know
this?
Ooh, this is a fun one.
It's an orange car.
I really want to say Dylan Barnhart, but I don't think
You
it is.
have the right last name.
Barnhart.
It's not Bryce.
I only know two Barnharts, and it's Bryce and Dylan.
That'd be Ed Barnhart.
This is Ed.
That would explain why Dylan races.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. That's a little bit added. Oh,
Where are we on to now? Oh, that's Jordan.
yep.
Hmm.
Dang, I need to
look at
look
all-
at those buttons, John. I'm curious on which cars you have on that.
Oh, yeah,
What
like
is-
this one.
Is that an old Sean Strand?
No, you're kind of close, but it's a different driver. He still races nowadays too.
Same number?
Give you a hint. His cars used to always be black back in the day, but now they've become gray.
Oh,
A sour?
yeah, that's
Yes.
Oh, go Jessup!
See, we have all
Jessup
sorts
got
of
one
history
right.
nuggets.
Who is this?
Kurt Berkman.
Yes,
Really?
it's the guy that thinks I'm Mr. Miserable.
We should leave that in.
That's a great note to end our hot sauce, hot memory rewind.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I do feel bad for anyone that listens on like any of the streaming platforms because all it is who is this?
Right.
That,
Hey, that was
that is
a
not
good
an
time. though.
ideal part of this.
Although now on Spotify, you can actually upload the video with it too.
Ooh.
Right.
So I actually might start doing that.
See, I have my backup buttons.
Oh my goodness, it's a lot.
Jeez.
Well, anyways, now I think we'll move on to our track pack report, which we'll start with Friday, which nothing happened.
Can we start with Thursday where nothing happened?
Well, Thursday,
Yeah, let's start
We
with
should
happened
say
either.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday
mean,
first.
You could even start Wednesday.
Thursday.
Track started.
Nothing happened. All right, we can go to Friday.
Friday.
Nothing happened.
No,
Let's go to Saturday.
I will say
Almost nothing happened.
Some things happened.
Fun things did happen.
On
Well-
Saturday, yes.
we all were at the same track, coincidentally, at the season opener in Jamestown, and all four of us were very busy that night with a lot of things going on. Jessup was up in the flag stand. Becca and John were announcing. I was doing my video stuff along with helping with the Rebel Mod Tour that was in town for their first race after Brown County, unfortunately, rained out the previous night. So I'll start with Jessup because you were kind of more focused in the flag stand. What were your takeaways or how did you assess the night in Jamestown?
Well, I think we're going to have to go with a classic one here, Mason. There were a lot of cars.
Really?
There were, Jessup?
There
How many?
was
How many,
There-
Jess?
a lot. Actually, to use the term that or a phrase that Mason would use, there was a pit full of cars.
It's so true.
Yes.
What did we have, John? 151, 154?
152.
Oh, 150.
152 cars on opening night in 6 classes.
That was a good night.
Yeah, because there was basically the closest track racing from Jamestown would probably have been Alexandria. I think that would have been the closest one. So like
Would
everywhere
it,
else,
or is Williston closer?
I'm pretty sure Alexandria would be closer.
Alex is about 200 miles from Jamestown.
Well,
And
we're
it's
gonna
at
It's about
least
100
find out.
mile from it's about 100 miles from Fargo. So
yeah, and Williston's a good 2 hours almost from Minot itself. And
yeah,
yeah, so I mean, basically slim pickings across the state and across the region. But yeah,
So-
like Joseph said, a lot of cars. He was busy trying to keep them all in line because, of course, there was a lot of action going on. Opening night stuff, of course. Becca, what were your main takeaways from Saturday night?
uh, Great car counts in all 6 racing divisions. The fans packed the stands. Beautiful weather. I know that it rained quite a bit in the days leading up to Saturday, so hats off to the Jamestown track prep crew who worked very hard behind the scenes to make that even possible on Saturday. Because I was talking to Scotty Gartner and his wife Markel before the races, and they said the pits were just full of standing water the night before. So but the track prep crew got the pits and the track and the whole facility ready to go. And there were a lot of cars, which made for a late night. I don't think that really surprised anyone when they looked at my race pass and saw 150 cars. At that point, you just kind of knew that it was going to be a long night. But great racing all around, and a great way to kick off Jamestown Speedway's season. So I liked everything about it.
Yeah, and before I give the floor to John for a bit, I kind of have a similar takeaway just because, like, obviously a lot of cars. There's season opening night, so you know, like things are going to get ironed out too. And I kind of look at this way across the board, not just at Jamestown, but at all tracks. I don't expect opening night to go perfect, whether it's track or cars or drivers or whatever it may be. So it definitely made for a late night, but honestly, I just enjoyed seeing that pit's just jam packed full of cars. And I'm sure the drivers were like not totally pleased with the track conditions, but as a fan, I was entertained the entire night. I know they won't want to hear that, but that's just the straight fact. I was entertained all night. I know
Same.
you guys were as well. And Jessup was probably just ready to pull his hair out at some points.
especially on certain drivers that don't know how to get in line.
Yeah.
This would be true. I struggled with being patient with a lot of things, especially after 20 multiple 20-minute features.
Yes,
Yep. Well,
it
John,
it was
what was
really
your
funny.
takeaways?
It was really funny because you guys hit on a lot of the great points on Saturday night. But I had to laugh too because the features took a while because there was a lot of cautions, but it wasn't like a lot of big wreck cautions. It was more drivers spinning out on opening night cautions more than anything else on that stuff. So it was just like you guys said, it was a lot of opening night things that happen that you typically maybe don't see throughout the whole entire year, but just opening night always has that realm around it, right? So luckily no rollovers or anything else from there. We didn't see anything from that. Um, I don't really think there was a ton of big hits. There was a few cars that got wrecked in the bomber division or hobby stock division a little bit, but besides that, everybody else was pretty status quo. Besides just a few things, but no, I was like you guys. Track conditions were definitely not perfect. I mean, I'll flat out be honest on that one too, but it was very entertaining to watch. Like Mason said, I was super entertained too as an announcer and fan because the track was 2 sets of different track.
Mhm.
So you go into turns 1 and 2, and if you went on the way high side of 1 and 2, you were pretty good. You went on the way bottom side of 1 and 2, you were pretty good too. The tracks on those 2 sides were pretty smooth on that piece of it. You went through the middle of 1 and 2, and it was really, really, really rough. Because the track was so soft with the rain they had and the standing water still on the track by that period of time. That 1 and 2 definitely was the turn that got run it up. Then you go down the back straightaway into 3 and 4, and 3 and 4 was a dry slick turn. You could run top, middle, bottom, with a little bit of a ridge kind of in the middle of 3 when you came out from there. But otherwise, from that 3 and 4 completely opposite track conditions from 1 and 2. 1 and 2 was okay. Now, am I going to bounce or am I going to go above or below it? And 3 and 4 was where should I where should I drive to get grip? So because you could basically go high, low, in the middle in 3 and 4, and it was super entertaining to watch. I agree with Mason on that one too. I was so entertained because some of the lines the drivers were using, and we've talked about it a little bit. I'm going to use a driver out there really quick. Cole Gresseth, right? Cole was their opening night, had a really nice night, finished second in his heat race, and ended up, I think, third overall in the feature event. And he's probably got one of the best street stocks out there from a look perspective. That body design is so cool on that car. But Cole was in 1 and 2 was like diming in it. So he would go way high and then he would almost like cut across the bumps all the way down to the bottom as he came off the exit of 2. And then 3 and 4, he was kind of in the middle, kind of more bottom, maybe drifted to the high side, or more or less just kind of in the middle. But it was fun to watch him in 1 and 2 because it was a line that you typically do not see from a driver.
And a lot of drivers were electing to go through the rumbly stumblies to help turn their car or just get that momentum off the corner down the backstretch. It made for fantastic racing all around in all of the racing divisions just because of how much character 1 and 2 had.
Yeah, and it was like Becca said, you had a lot of 3-4 wide battles throughout the night, and you had a lot of drivers who started deep in the fields that moved their way up to the front quite a bit. So, okay, so Becca, I'm going to let you take it away with the first 3 divisions of the night, and I'll take it away with the last 3 divisions of the night.
I'm not prepared, John. I thought you were
Okay,
just
well,
them all.
your slingshots are first.
Dang it, John.
There's a lot of action in the slingshots too.
There was a very entertaining race.
Great battle up front. Okay, now hang on. I have to pull up the results.
Okay, so before you get to that, I was in the infield recording this, and usually when I'm behind the camera, I don't say anything. And as I saw, I think it was Reed Ketterling. He went through 1 and 2 and his wheel fell off, and I audibly said, "Uh-oh." And I'm like, that is the first time I've said something audibly while recording on camera. And I was like, wait, did I just say that?
Shots were really interesting because, again, for a lot of listeners and viewers who don't know what slingshots are, typically these are young children behind the wheel, and this is their first experience racing. And so, again, like you mentioned, Reed Kettling had a great battle. A great night up until his wheel fell off. He was leading laps, battling with Jackson Carroll for the lead. But when his wheel fell off, obviously that ended Reed's night, handing the lead over to Jackson Carroll. But there were so many other cautions throughout this race. It was really interesting because I don't think those youngsters really understood the grasp of what the person on the receiver was trying to tell them. So there was a lot of hands-on from track officials trying to get these cars lined up. And there was a handful of drivers that were just like, I'm just going to be up near the front, even though that's technically not where they were supposed to restart. And I think the officials were like, oh, just screw it, let them go. I think they said that a handful of times throughout that feature. And it was just opening nights, just chaos, and it just made for a fun feature to watch. But Jackson Carroll was able to hold off Aubrey Ettinger for the victory, and that win meant a lot to young Jackson. He actually started tearing up in victory lane. He was so excited to cross the finish line first in the junior slingshots. So moving on to our...
It made him cry.
I didn't make him cry. He was crying.
She got the cry
moment.
moment. She feels so much better about herself when she gets those.
No.
So drivers, if you're going to be emotional, make her work for it.
Well, congratulations to our junior slingshot winner, Jackson Carroll. Moving on to our bomber feature. It was a fun race up front with Dylan Steele as he led most of the race. But I also want to highlight a rookie in that racing division, Brody Michelson. He started near the front. He had a fantastic heat race, started near the front, and he actually held his own in the top 5 until a late race caution where he kind of got pushed out.
Clipped.
He got clipped and kind of, he ran out of real estate and flew it off the top of corners 1 and 2, which ended his night. And it was unfortunate to see, just because I would have liked to see how he would have finished, because he was having such a great run in his second ever race behind the wheel. So a tough break for the number 18 of Brody Michelson, a rookie in the bomber division. But as I was alluding to, the number 22 of Dylan Steele, he started on the pole and led most of the race until a late race caution came out, and on the restart he blew a tire and that handed the lead over to Asher Williams, who led the final lap and a half or so and picked up the first feature victory, season opener victory at the Jamestown Speedway. So congratulations to Asher. He held off Kelly Horner and Carly Horner to get the victory in the bomber or hobby stock division at Jamestown. Moving on to the Midwest Modifieds. That was race number 1 of the Rebel Mod Tour coming to the Jamestown Speedway. Lots of cars. That was fantastic, as Jessup would say. There were 37 Midwest Modifieds that came to the Jamestown Speedway for their season opener, as well as the opening night of the Rebel Mod Tour. But it was a really good battle up front between Jaron Wibstead and Lucas Rodin. Jaron started up front, pulled away right away, but cautions throughout the race allowed Lucas Rodin to make his way towards the front. And as those cautions kept coming out, it allowed Lucas the chance to challenge for the lead. And they had a fantastic battle up front, but Lucas just was able to out-muscle, out-horsepower Jaron, and he would go on to win the season opener victory at the Jamestown Speedway. So Jaron finished second, Brennan Waite finished third, Jared Klein and Nate Ranke rounded out your top 5.
Excellent. Yeah, and a lot of heavy hitters, had a lot of drivers come from, well, a few from Minnesota, had a good contingent from South Dakota, especially the Miller area. I know there was a handful of drivers that came up from there, and then even a couple from Canada. So a very diverse field of Midwest mods. It was fun to see just such a great field of Rebel Midwest mods come into the Jamestown Speedway for their opening night.
Yeah, so then we moved on, guys, to the Legends. So Legends had 35 cars that pulled in Saturday night, so they had to have a Consi and Legends division. And that feature event was really exciting. My heart kind of went out to Ryan Erdahl. Ryan was leading through the first half of that race, and he broke a throttle cable on a restart and didn't go. And it stacked with the field behind him, but he was holding off the likes of Preston Martin, Donovan Weiss, Austin Weiss, Noah Madler, Bryce Barnhart was right up there, and he was kind of holding his own, still looking for that first career win in the Legends in Jamestown. So yeah, but he looked really good on Saturday night. But that handed the lead over to Preston, and we all know that when Preston gets the lead, it gets to be hard to beat him. However, Noah Madler made him work for it. So Noah was to the inside of him out of turn 2 each and every lap. Noah could get a really good run through 1 and 2, would pull right up beside Preston down the back straightaway. And Preston was a little bit better in 3 and 4. But yeah, so Preston had a really nice run. Noah had a really good run. I have to give a shout out to Bryce Barnhart. What a great Saturday night he had over in Jamestown. He was up front in the heat. He was up front battling for the win in the feature. He finished 3rd overall for the night. So, I mean, just a great night overall for Bryce. Bryce looked really good in the 94 machine. And then Austin Weiss was in 4th at the close of the checkered flag, and Austin and Bryce were kind of throwing sliders back and forth at each other. And then one of the surprises was Glenn Mitchell's back. So Glenn got back here this past weekend, and he was planning on racing Friday night at one of the local tracks if they didn't rain out. But he was over in Jamestown again on Saturday and finished top 5 on Saturday night and looked very respectable over there as well. So, but yeah, great job to Preston. Really good job to Noah. Noah's basically only his 3rd time ever to Jamestown. He's raced 4 times over there, 2 at the Stampede back a couple of years back. He was over at the Dumpke Memorial last year, and then this was his 3rd time over in Jamestown, 4th race. And Noah's going to be a threat to win lots of races this year, I think, over at Southwest Speedway, Dakota Speedway, over McLean County Speedway, and probably over in Jamestown as well when he makes appearances over in Jamestown. Street stocks, 29 street stocks. I think that surprised all of us.
Yeah.
So there was a big car count in the streets, especially with the street stock tour going on over in Alexandria on Saturday too. And they had 44 streets over there on Saturday night. So, I mean, really good car count for streets. A lot of travelers in the streets too, and a lot of local guys that moved up kind of from the hobby stock and bomber division into the streets. But no, the streets, it was a struggle to get it started. They had 4 cautions in just 1 lap. So it was definitely a struggle. However, I think the streets were the quickest feature of the night because they then rattled off 19 green flag laps to end the feature event. So, but no, Billy Christ looked really good on Saturday night. Billy got the lead, and he held about a 2-second advantage over the field most of the night within the feature event. But the battle behind him was really, really neat to watch between, you had Mike Mund, 2000 Stock Car Stampede champion in that class, bought actually Kelly Horner's old car just a few years back. And Mike looked really good. Mike ran in the second position for quite a bit of that feature event, battling with Cole Gresseth. And one of the sleepers in that event was definitely Chris Welk Jr. Chris Welk Jr. started 15th, and his line, he ran right next to the wall on the bottom and worked his way to the front. He battled with Cole and Mike. Cole got around Mike, then Cole and Chris battled, and Chris got second, and he basically passed for second with about 4 laps to go, 4 or 5 laps to go. And it would have been very interesting to see if a caution would have come out, because Chris had a line that not a whole lot of other people were able to grab onto, and he was making it work. So he went 15th to second. Cole finished third. Mike Mund was fourth. I have to give a shout out to Trey Hess. He has got a cancer throwback paint scheme, really nice paint scheme on that car. He is racing in memory of Julie Peterson, who passed away here just a few weeks back from cancer. Unfortunately, she lost her battle. That is the wife of Joey Peterson and mom of Kelsey and Tucker Peterson. And Trey had a really nice run, won his heat on Saturday night, finished top 5. He was battling with Greg Dozy, and Greg finished in the 7th position. So nice job to the Grand Forks guys. There was quite a few of them that came down on Saturday night as well, and had very respectable runs.
Well, I was going to say with Billy Christ winning, I think Becca, when you were interviewing him, he said his car was starting to cut out the last few laps, and so I think that the second and third place guys were definitely catching it towards the end. So it would have been interesting to see.
You could kind of hear it down the front straightaway too. You could hear it before he entered turn 1. Then it would just kind of cut. You could just kind of hear maybe the backfire a little bit before it went in there. So some type of electrical issue directly with his machine. And then the mods. So the IMC mods ended the night, and that was a battle for that feature win. There was 23 cars total. They had a great battle up front between Logan Schmitz and Colin Hibden. Colin and Logan got together battling for the lead with only a few laps into the feature event. Colin caught him. I think Colin started back in 6th or 8th, somewhere in that range. Caught Logan, threw a slider on him in 3 and 4. They made contact, and the caution came out, and Colin went to the back. And it was a very interesting battle after that, because John Nord was working his way to the front. He started 12th and was starting to work his way up. But if you looked deeper in the field, you had guys like Isaac Sondrol, who had started working his way up, Marcus Tomlinson, who had started working his way up, and Andy Capp, who had started working his way up. So a lot of those guys were starting to make their presence known. Marcus started 19th on the field, and by the time basically they had about 15 laps to go, Marcus had cracked the top 5. So he was making his way up there. And then we already talked about Isaac. Unfortunately, he looked really good, but had that oil leak with that oil line that cracked, ended up with a little bit of a fire on his leg. Luckily, he is okay. He just got, he got a little bit hot, and they did put the Jamestown safety crew did put some burn cream on him, and he was able to race. He was going to race Nodak on Sunday, but unfortunately they rained out. So he raced Nodak on Monday and had a very nice showing of Nodak on Monday. Andy Capp, though, he was on basically a mission. He went 23rd to finish in 7th, so he moved up 16 spots. Marcus went up to 4th at the final rundown, so he moved up 15 spots. So a lot of moving and shaking in your modified feature event. But up front, it was definitely the battle between Logan and between John Nord. Those two were basically, they were trying to switch up each other's line. It was very interesting to watch them through turns 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. Because a lot of times John Nord would get a better run through Logan than Logan through 1 and 2. And Logan would go high and John would be down low. And then Logan would hold him off in 3 and 4. So they were trying to swap lines in 1 and 2. And the caution would come out and they'd restack them and they'd restart. And with the caution, it came out with about 4 to go. They restarted and Logan got a really good restart and was able to pull away for the win. Chris Tusher, have to give a shout out to him. Finished 3rd. Very, very nice showing for him on Saturday night. He had a great run. And then Matt Dusher, a rookie in that division that moved up from the Midwest Mods to the IMC Modifieds now full-time, was in the top 5. So really, really good night overall. A lot of racing action, a lot of hard-fought battles, and just a very entertaining night as a whole. And then we had a special thing happen at intermission.
I was going to say, I don't know if that was even the best race of the night.
Yeah, Becca.
Okay, so Pelkeys, what happened at intermission?
Tell him, Becca.
we had our gender reveal at intermission. And what we did was had a gender reveal race. So we asked close friends, Scotty Gardner. Scott represented Team Baby Girl with his all red IMCA modified. We asked Chris Ritter in his Wissota Street Stock, which is all blue, to represent Team Baby Boy. And those two had a 3-lap shootout on the track during intermission. And Jessup was in the flag stand. He was flagging the gender reveal race. John was announcing it. Mason was videoing it. And then I was down in victory lane waiting for the results. So those two put on a fantastic and really exciting battle on the track. At no point in that race did I think, oh, Chris Ritter's got this, it's going to be a boy, or Scott Gartner's got this, it's going to be a girl. They were side by side using those interesting lines in corners 1 and 2, and obviously corners 3 and 4 was very smooth. So they were side by side practically the whole time. But out of the corner 4, coming to the checker flag, Scotty started to pull away, and it was very obvious by then that we were going to have a baby girl. So thank you to Scott and Chris for helping us reveal the gender of our baby. We had some very, very excited grandparents and friends, and I think the fans really got into it. Overall, just it was really cool. Something new, something different that we hadn't seen, and it was a great way to incorporate something we love, which is racing, in our gender reveal. So we're gonna have a baby girl this fall, and so we're super excited.
Yeah, I think that was a really awesome part of the night, especially. It was cool that Jessup was in the flag stand flagging. I just remember panning over to him when he threw the white flag. I'm like, oh, he looks a little nervous up there.
I was just hoping, I told them as they were coming onto the track, thank you for doing this. Make it a good race. And for God's sake, make it clear and obvious so the flagman doesn't have a heart attack.
Well, it goes step further on here too. Before the night started, I had found Markel. So Markel knew what the Pelkeys were having. And I looked at Markel and I said, I need to know what they're going to have before we do it. Just in case if somebody breaks and then the wrong car passes and finishes at the line, I'm like, I probably should know who this is so we don't announce the wrong gender. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's a boy and it's actually a girl. So yeah, so that wouldn't have not been a good thing. But no, everything went according to plan and they made it very entertaining.
And they were hustling too. This wasn't like a half throttle, let's see what's going to happen. No, this was like they were balls to the walls, and it was just great. It was, in my opinion, the most exciting race of the night. So no cautions, no complete restarts, no spins on the track. It was just a good, thrilling race from start to finish.
Would that have been funny if like they both spun out at like various times? Like, oh, somebody spins out on lap 1 and then somebody spins out on lap 2, and it would be like, oh boy, this is really getting interesting.
I'm glad they didn't hear this. It's to get ideas on how to like mix it up. I'm glad, yeah, no, because they actually talked about stopping the cars out of corner 4 and doing the Ricky Bobby run at the finish line. And I was
like, my gosh, that would have been awesome too.
But I'm glad the way it turned out. They did a perfect job, and it was just exciting and thrilling to watch. And so thank you to everyone who played a very small or big part in it all, because it really made an exciting gender reveal for all parties, families, friends, and race fans. So.
Yep.
Yeah, Oh, go ahead, Jessup.
We should thank Tim and Allison for letting us do it at the racetrack as well.
Especially on a really busy night. I don't think anyone could have predicted 152 cars at Speedway on a season opener night. But yeah, they still let us do it at intermission. It was a very quick intermission, but yeah, that's all we needed was just a few minutes just to quickly do that, and we were back racing with our features. So
yeah, and believe me, it was crazy busy throughout that entire night, but we all got out of there in one piece, and so it was definitely a good experience, a good fun season opener at Jamestown. They're really looking forward to continuing their season this upcoming weekend. So I'll finish off the track pack report as we got one race in after that. Unfortunately, had some shenanigans later on in the weekend, but I went over to the Viking Speedway. Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour kicked off this weekend over in Alexandria. They had a doubleheader, which took place on Saturday and Sunday. I'll I'll briefly touch on that after the Sunday recap, but really good field of cars for street stocks. He had 44 on Saturday, 37 on Sunday. Had a little bit of mechanical attrition on Saturday from what I heard. I think someone blew a motor. Some people have tranny issues and all sorts of that, but still a very good field showing up on Sunday. As far as feature winners went, Midwest Mods kick off the program at Viking Speedway, and Haley Dykoff, fresh off of having a baby 6 weeks ago, threw a really, really cool slider with just a few laps to go and got the win over in Alexandria. That's the second year in a row she's won on the Sunday of the Memorial Day doubleheader over there. So that was a very, very popular win. And so great for her to kick off the season there. I think that's only her second time out in the car. And so fast right out of the gate once again. I'll move into the Wissota Hornets for their feature race. And Cole Campson and the two from Belgrade, Minnesota got the win. And there was a 4 to 5 pack of cars racing that entire race. I believe that race went caution free. And slowly but surely, like cars kind of like made a mistake. There's a little character over in turns 1 and 2, kind of similar to some other tracks. And so it would kind of just eliminate drivers out of contention. They'd hit a rut wrong and they kind of balance and lose ground. And so Cole Campson was able to weather through that and get his win of the season in Alexandria. Moving on into the super stocks, we had a great battle take place between the 71 of Trevor Nelson, who came over from South Dakota because his home tracks, Miller, rained out, Brown County rained out. So he decided to venture over to Alexandria for the weekend. Led the majority of that race, but had Ryan Castreba track him down and make the winning pass on the bottom with just a few laps to go. And so Ryan Castreba ended up with the feature win in front of Trevor Nelson and Matt Miller. Modifieds who finished off the program, Justin Fremming was a little bit late to the game on getting his car out and started on the front row. And let's just say he won by just a little bit. There was no one anywhere close. Like they had a 6 to 7 lap run to start that race, and he was already a straightaway ahead. Then they had a couple other cautions, and by the end, he was a straightaway ahead again. So he left no doubt that he was the quickest car on the track that night in front of Dusty Bitson and Brady Gurris, who are no slouches by any means. And so dominating performance for the 33X Justin Fremming. Now, street stock wise, I mean, I'm a little biased just being with the street stock tour, but that was a great race. Kyle Dykoff, Eric Riley, Andrew Hansen were putting on a show for the entirety of that race, had a long green flag run to start that, had a few cautions in the middle to kind of bring things closer together. Riley was just had made the pass on Dykoff to take the lead. And I think Kyle was trying to move his lineup to try to see if he could get some of that same grip that Eric was and hit a bump wrong in 1 and 2 and shot him up the track. And that allowed Andrew Hansen to sneak underneath both Riley and Dykoff. And that ended up getting the feature win for Andrew Hansen, his first street stock tour win. So big congrats out to Andrew Hansen. He held off a hard charging Jeff Ekdahl, who also got around Riley and Dykoff at the end. And so that was the street stocks on Sunday. Saturday went to Braden Brower, and that was his first career street stock tour win. So 2 races for the street stock tour and already 2 first-time winners. And so very, very fun start to the street stock tour this weekend in Alexandria. They were scheduled to race over at the Cheyenne Speedway on Monday night for their Memorial Day special, which, to briefly touch on that, there was a lot of cars there too. I couldn't believe how full the pits were. I know John and Jessup were down there for the NLRA night, which that was a very full pit with all the stackers and everything. And this was even bigger than that. It was insane. So like there's 7 car classes total, and they had over 140 cars come through the gates. And so it was a very busy night. Weather was beautiful to start the night. And then unfortunately, clouds roll in, get a shower. They were trying to work the track back in. I think it was like 45 minutes to an hour. And then we had one more cloud that just had a 2 to 3 minute downpour. And unfortunately, that wiped out the rest of the program for Cheyenne Speedway and their season opener. So unfortunate, but really great crowd on hand, really great field of cars in all the classes that showed up. And it's a very encouraging sign for Cheyenne Speedway. It's a lot of you know, not even sure if it was even going to be open for 2024. And so I hope that the last 4 races that they have throughout this rest of the season are just as big, if not bigger. And so very encouraging start, just a bummer that it didn't quite shake out thanks to Mother Nature.
Gee, John, can you imagine rain at a track where Mason and Kayla are both at?
Well, and let's not forget, there was also going to be a candy toss that night. So,
Oh, yes,
I mean,
yes.
that even compounds the issues that we see with them trying to utilize their powers against the racing world.
Well,
They deprived the
this time
little
it backfired.
they
So,
deprived the little children. They didn't even get to have the candy toss.
Hmm.
no,
Hmm.
yep, little children were deprived. I mean,
Kayla,
at least a couple of kids were probably saved during the candy toss. They weren't, pushed out of the way to get candy. But also the weather, they just they held it in for 2 whole nights and they just could not hold it in anymore.
We hit our limit.
I feel bad for the promoters. What do you think when they see Kayla and Mason rolling into their track? Do you think they're like, just empty the water truck, it's over. It's over.
If
We're done.
I were a promoter, I would be like, Mason, how much will it be? How much will it be to make you stay away from our track? And then I would write the check and
If I was the
I
promoter, I would be saying, security, get this man out. Take the
I did
candy toss with him. That'll pull him away from the track for a while.
I laughed so hard on Saturday because I ran into Kayla first. She got there a little bit before 5 o'clock. And it was so funny. She walks through the gates and she gets closer to the pit shack and I'm in the pit shack. And I see her and I was like, oh no. That's exactly what I said. I said, "Oh no." I said, "You better have kept the rain away from us tonight." And she looks at me, she's like, "You are the fifth person that has already told me that since I got from the gates to the pit shack." I was like, "See, people know. The racing world knows."
It is
Yeah,
amazing the powers we have, John.
I will say we've probably saved tracks a lot of money by them not having to utilize the water truck because I don't think it got used at all on Saturday, did it?
No,
The
no.
I think it got used when they tore it up. When they tore it up after the heats, I think they just quickly watered it. But otherwise from that, it wasn't used very much at all and didn't need to really be used. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
I
It
mean, we
wasn't
used
used
it
at
on
all down in Cheyenne.
they didn't really they watered a little bit because it was kind of crummy to start, like kind of like just a lot of crumbs, but there was still a lot of moisture in the track. I think they were just trying to help pack it down a little bit, but otherwise, not really. Just trying to make sure that made the groove wide enough so that people could race. But it was a fast track for the little racing we did get in. Just didn't
And
get
what
through
about
all the heat
what
races.
about Alex? How much water did Alex have to put down?
They actually had to water quite a bit because
Okay.
yeah, it was
Well, they
pretty
started
sunny
early
out.
though too. It was day two and it was an earlier start.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, we kind of try to balance it out, try to save tracks money, but then, yeah, sometimes it just doesn't work out, I guess. But
Yeah,
hope,
you two. I agree with Spencer, when you posted your caption photo today on the Track Packers page. I agree with him. We need to do the anti-rain dance for
where
Mason. I think he needs to do it. Yes. I think we
where
need to videotape this at a we need to videotape this at a racetrack. We have to get Mason doing it. Maybe we should do it. I have an idea. When Mason is close to us at a racetrack pretty soon, we will have him at intermission go down front or in the infield as long as it's not raining. And he can do his anti-rain dance and we can videotape it.
well, there may be many opportunities for me to be down front because I do a lot of the redraws for the tour races. So,
I think it's got to be some I don't. It's got to
But
be like a very elaborative dance for Mason.
yes. But do we think that it should be both Kayla and Mason doing it? I feel like it's both of them that needs to be involved in this.
This is a good point.
what's the
I don't
next
know. Maybe we should get a fans fund going for this.
Did you know? You guys probably don't know this. Well, actually, a lot of our race fans maybe do know this. Some of our drivers probably know this too. But so Kayla has also moved from Bismarck to Fargo. So she is now fully in Fargo as well now. He
Mhm.
lives in Fargo now full time. She was, doing stuff still for school wise and other things here in Bismarck. But now that she's fully in Fargo, this one makes way more sense on why the Red River Valley Speedway has received so much moisture this year. And just even this last week alone, I think you guys got over 3 inches of rain just alone this past week. And I mean, that track has not even had a chance to even dry out yet this year. And this would make way more sense with both Rain Man and Rain Woman in the same city.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see with this week's schedule what the weather's going to do, which I'll move to Dakota Dirt on what's upcoming next in the state of North Dakota.
Okay, race fans, you got to check out Dakota Dirt again. It is your one-stop shop. Again, one-stop shop for everything North Dakota racing. News, results, forecasts, which you need those this year, forecasts, and much more live articles and entertainment. So check out Dakota Dirt. They are on social media platforms, and also dakotadirt.org. Again, one-stop shop for everything North Dakota racing, news, and more.
Thank you, John. Hey, it's busy racing week. If we get it in, if Kayla and Mason stay away from the tracks. Anyways, Friday kicks just about everything off, I think. No, I take that back. Thursday is supposed to be McLean County's opener, along with I think Wishick is opening that day as well, since their opening days got postponed due to rain. And then on Friday, the Dakota Speedway will be racing, as well as Red River and River Cities. The Dakota Speedway has their Ironman 100 race going on. It is one night this year, and it's still 5,000 to win. So for IMCA mods, it is a big money payday, and it's only one night of racing, and there's not too many nights like that around our state where a big chunk of money can go home with any one driver for only one night of racing. So that should be a big event. IMCA stock cars will be racing 40 laps as well. And I think they are, what was it, John? I think Becca has the payout next to her.
Is
I think
it
it's
500 to win for
500
the
to
stock
win?
cars? I think it's
Something like
500,
that.
right?
It's
Yeah.
5,000 stock cars
Okay, that's what I thought.
and 200 to win hobby stocks.
Neat. So big night of racing, only 3 classes. Definitely a invitational style race. I like these types of nights. Going into June, which will be Saturday, we're already in June, crazy to think. Jamestown, Devil's Lake, Southwest Speedway will all be racing Saturday night. And then Sunday, it is the Nodak Speedway. And then, just giving you guys a preemptive heads up on racing, next week, one of the biggest tours of the state, Tougher Than Dirt. The Midwest, not Midwest Mod, the Sport Mods and the IMCA Hobby Stocks. I caught myself before you even grabbed your flag. That is a save, John. They will be kicking off the tour at McLean County Speedway, and joining them will be the Legendary Tour. Pretty big tour for the North Dakota Legends. They will be kind of following them a bit, and they'll take a night off, and then they'll go over to Dakota Speedway and then Jamestown and so forth. So it'll be McLean County for the Tougher Than Dirt on the 4th. The 5th is going to be the Southwest Speedway. The 6th will be Williston Basin. And then Friday, it gets busy again as Dakota Speedway, River Cities, Red River, and Estevan Motor Speedway will be racing. And then following that, Jamestown, Thunder Mountain, and Devil's Lake will be racing next week, Saturday. And then to close out that weekend as well, it will be Nodak and Cheyenne. So it should be a good couple weeks of racing here. Lots of money to be going around. And I should also mention, not this weekend, but the following weekend is the Don Gumke Racers Memorial. Is it the 5th year of this now, John?
It's a 5th year. Yep, 5th year.
Holy moly, crazy.
So I actually looked last night, and IMCA modified drivers, these next 2 weeks are kind of your weeks. Because before you hit like mod tour time frame, because there's a lot of money up for grabs. You have got the Legendary, the Ironman that's going to be happening. I caught myself on that one too.
You didn't grab the caution quick enough.
So I was waiting for Jester to grab it, and he never did. The Ironman is over at the Dakota Speedway, which is $5,000 to win. That is this Friday. So May 31st. And then next week, Friday, the Bison Battle is happening over at the Red River Valley Speedway. That is 1,500 to win for the IMCA Modifieds. Now, what they do though is they do lap money on top of that. So it actually, I think, guys, you can get up. Is it like 2,500 that you can get up to win, or even 3,000? So somewhere in that regard, I think you can get
I
up to in previous years.
I haven't seen a post for lap funds
I
yet,
haven't either.
but usually the last couple of years they've really done a great job over at Red River to find lap money for that class and that night.
Yep.
So a lot of money to be spread around there.
Yeah, and I think actually that night when I looked at they had a flyer that came out just about a month ago now, and the IMCA Sport Mods have an increased purse that night too. They're over $1,000 to win, and the same thing for the IMCA Stock Cars. I think the IMCA Stock Cars was over $1,000 to win that night too. So some big money up for grabs for those divisions on that Friday night, and then that Saturday, which is the 8th of June, which is when the Legendary Tour for the Legends will hit Jamestown. And then the IMCA Modifieds drivers will be racing for over $2,000 to win. So if you think about it, if you're an IMCA Modified driver, there's a lot of money up for grabs here in the next 2 weeks that you could hit, and all different tracks, which is kind of neat too.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong here, Mason. Doesn't the Bison Battle move over to Cheyenne
Yep, they on the June
that
9th, they
Sunday?
also have a Bison Battle there.
Yep.
Okay.
So a lot of money in a 14-day span there for drivers if they want to go after it. And it's for a lot of classes too. It's not just strictly mods, it's basically mods, legends, sport mods, hobby stocks, stock cars. Everybody's getting in on the money.
Yep, and I just found Red River Valley's Bison Battle post. So 1,500 to win for mods, 1,000 to win for sport mods, and 1,250 to win to stock cars. $50 per lap for lap sponsors, 35 laps for the modifieds, 30 for the stock cars, and 25 for these sport mods. So plenty of money. Excellent. So got a lot of good racing coming up in the state of North Dakota over the next couple weeks. I'll just briefly touch on the stuff outside of the state. KRA Speedway is going to try to open their season once again this Thursday. They were rained out, washed out this last week. So that's the only race on Thursday. I think Grand Rapids is also going to try to kick off their season again as well. Friday, Brown County Speedway going to try to get back in action along with Princeton and Red Cedar. I-94 Speedway in Fergus Falls is hosting the Street Stock Tour for 2 straight nights, starting on Friday the 31st and then heading on into the 1st of June. Also on the 1st of June, we have Madison Speedway going to look to kick off their season. Kids Night at Ogilvie Raceway, North Central Speedway in Brainerd, and the Rice Lake Speedway in Wisconsin. And then Sunday, the Street Stock Tour finishes out their next weekend at the Buffalo River Speedway in Glendon. Bemidji, who started their season this past weekend, will also be racing along with Casino Speedway in Watertown, Granite City Motor Park in Sauk Rapids, and the Redwood Speedway, the newly reopened Redwood Speedway, will be opening up their season for 2024. So if the weather cooperates and Kayla and I don't create too much havoc, there should be a lot of good racing happening. But we'll see. You never know what the weather's going to do, especially this time of year, it seems like. So that's what's coming up for the week racing this weekend. And the next, we'll display the white flag and give a shout out to the real deal Brody Carlsrud. Got a little bit of racing in this weekend. Actually had a really good run over at Brainerd. Finished runner-up over there. So good run for him. Got a few laps at Cheyenne Speedway on Monday. Unfortunately, didn't get a feature out of it. Encourage you to go check out his podcast, The Real Deal with B1. He posted an episode the last week kind of discussing the last 2 weeks of racing, like struggles he's been going through, but is looking to get his car going back in the right direction. But thank you once again, Brody, for supporting us on the Track Packers as well. Wins of the week. Who wants to go first for wins of the week? Don't be shy. Don't all go at once.
Well, Becca, we usually let you go first because, ladies first.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. My first win of the week goes to Logan Schmitz, who picked up his very first IMCA modified feature victory. That was over at the Jamestown Speedway on Saturday night. It wasn't easy. he had to hold off some heavy hitters. He held off Colin Hibden early in the race. He held off John Nord and outdueled and outsurvived all those drivers at Jamestown to pick up his very first IMCA modified victory. So congratulations to Logan Schmitz. My second win of the week goes to the Sport Compacts in Minot. They had over 20 of them for their doubleheader weekend up at the Nodex Speedway. Unfortunately, as we already alluded to, they rained out on Sunday, so they only got 1 day in for that doubleheader. But on day number 2, Monday, they had over 20 Sport Compacts. So I think that just shows good growth in that racing division, and that's really good to see because it's a great, affordable entry-level racing division for anyone of all ages to get their feet wet in racing. So I hope this bodes well for the future of the United States Sport Compacts because there's only 3 tracks in the state that really truly run them on a weekly basis. So I hope we see some car counts going up for not only the Nodax Speedway, which already has healthy car counts, but maybe we can see some of those car counts go a little bit higher for tracks like Dakota Speedway and Thunder Mountain Speedway. And then third win of the week, I'm going to give it to Asher Williams. Not only did he pick up the victory at the Jamestown Speedway in the Bomber Division, he also graduated. Sorry, Jessup. He also graduated from high school this weekend, and there's actually quite a few notable drivers and volunteers that have graduated high school this past few weeks in the racing world. But Asher Williams picked up the victory the night before he graduated his commencements before he graduated at his commencement ceremony. Okay, whatever, Jessup. I can see him going for the
Before he walked across the stage.
Sure, yeah.
That's all right. I mean, Jessup slowly was walking across the stage with how much he's lagging right now, so you're good.
So those are my 3 wins, and I have 1 more if we want to go even deeper in the list. So, and I promise not to steal one off Jessup's list. I don't think this guy would have made it. So,
well, Jessup, do you want to go next since it seems like 2 or 3 of your wins got taken?
No.
So disappointed.
I can go next.
No, you know what? I will go because I'm a big boy and I have names.
Go for it.
First win I will go with this week will be Tim Goodwin out at Williston Basin, picking up a very nice win out there. Mason, why do you look perturbed?
No reason.
Wilson Basin. What do you? Is it the bison or the basin?
I don't know why you say basin every week, but it gets me.
It's just
What is
just
it?
like, it's one of those my notion things.
Well, okay, if Becca's gonna make fun of the way Jessup says Basin, how do you pronounce the number 36 Minnesota Midwest Modified driver's last name out of Jamestown, Becca?
Jaron Weepstead.
How do you normally say it, Becca?
And now I'm paranoid.
How do we say it, Mason?
I don't know. Continue, Jessup.
Yeah, go ahead, Jessup.
I will stick with the Sport Mod Midwest Mod theme here. My second one will go to Haley Dykoff. I mean, giving birth and then getting back in a car less than like a season later, just 6 weeks later. That's got to be one of the most impressive wins.
Yeah, and she was third on that Saturday too, 10th to 3rd.
Yeah, so that's really impressive. Hats off to you. I could never do that.
Well,
literally.
Yeah, thank you.
But
it's understandable.
But I don't think I could. I don't think I could do that. I had too much going on there. So third win. Oh, I just had a really good one, and I went blank on it. Crud. Oh, crud. Well, I'll go with the Indy 500 winner, Joseph Newgarden. It was probably one of the most exciting Indy 500 races in a while. The last lap saw Pato O'Ward go and pass Joseph for the win. So that was really amazing. And then going into the last 2 corners, Joseph was like, no, I'm going to just go around you. Okay, my turn. And he went back to back. So definitely an amazing feat as well. And finally, the biggest winner of the weekend has to go to the zero car of Scotty Gartner, picking up the biggest race of the weekend that everybody was really concerned and worried about, winning the gender reveal. Thank you for doing that, you and Critter. Thank you, you guys, and Tim and Allison, along with Donna, to get the results out to them in a sealed envelope. So thanks to those guys, and those are my winners.
Excellent set of wins. John, do you want to go next?
Sure. So I'm going back up to the Williston Basin Speedway. And I have to give a shout out to Brady Biella, who picked up the feature win on Saturday night during the races up there. And the reason why I'm also giving a shout out to Brady is because Brady actually had some mechanical problems in the heat race over in Rainout on Monday and drove his way from the back of the field, which I believe they had 25 IMC modifieds on Monday night, back of the field up to 6th on Monday. So great run to him this weekend as he picked up a win and then went from the back to the front on Monday night. So congratulations to Brady. My second win of the week has to go to JT Johnson. So it was the Minnesota Mod Nationals this past weekend. And what they did was there was 4 tracks involved. Unfortunately, Superior had to cancel, so they were not part of the weekend of racing. However, Ogilvie held the last 2 nights, Princeton held the first night, and the highest points finisher of the IMC of the Wissota Modifieds that week would basically, I caught myself again, and of the Wissota Modifieds that weekend actually got a provisional entry into the big show over at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway this weekend for the $100,000 to win show. So JT Johnson was the highest points guy in the Wissota Modifieds, and he did it by passing quite a bit of cars. He passed the first night, he finished 3rd, passed, I believe, 11 to 12 cars in Princeton the first night to get up there, had a 3rd place finish in Ogilvie on the night number 2 of the Mod Nationals, and was again in the top 5 on the final night of the Mod Nationals. So congratulations to him. I mean, he beat guys like Shane Skabrowski, Dave Kane, Mike Anderson. So congratulations to JT Johnson for getting that spot over there for the Minnesota Mod Nationals. And then I have to give a shout out to Andrew Hansen picking up the feature win on a great street stock tour race over at the Viking Speedway during the Saturday night portion of their doubleheader. I watched the race. I rewatched it back. That was a very, very fun feature event to watch. What are you giving me a
One on Sunday,
caution
not
flag for?
Saturday.
I said Sunday.
I said Saturday.
Oh, I was like Sunday, day 2 of the special.
You did say day 2. I'll go back and I'll listen, and if I'm wrong, I'll go back.
Replay!
So
Wait.
actually, I
Someone's
might have.
getting this caution.
I think Mason deserves the caution for his nose. So, so I went right to the low blow. But no,
Yep.
congratulations to Andrew Hansen. Really, really, really big win over at Viking on Sunday, and nice to see him. Hopefully, he'll travel the whole entire Street Stock Tour this year.
Yeah, definitely another great set of wins there. A lot of my wins actually got eliminated, so I gotta think with my feet here. Yes.
Why don't you go to Bemidji for some wins?
Oh gosh. Anyways,
What's
my
wrong with
first win.
Bemidji, Mason?
Why would I go to Bemidji?
They raced.
Well, they did race. Yep. I got some wins here though. So first win of the week.
Mason, they raced on Sunday, just to let you know.
Thank you. I appreciate that. First win of the week, I'm actually going to give it to Taylor Heaton in the 11 IMCA Hobby Stock. He won over in Williston. That was his first win in Williston. I believe it's his second overall because I believe he won up in I think it was Thunder Mountain. Double check on that. But yeah, really great win. Held off a hard charging Kyler Satrin. Brenner Grinstead had some misfortune during that feature race. But Taylor Heaton, he's been pretty quick to start out the year and hasn't gotten a whole lot of races under his belt, but very cool to see him come. I believe he lives in Baker, Montana, so definitely putting the miles on to start the year. My second win of the week goes to Issac Hot Sauce Sondrol. We touched on it with the misfortune on Saturday. Won to see it on Sunday at Nodak and had a solid top 5 run in the IMCA Modified. So definitely want to give a shout out to Issac Sondrol in the 12S machine. Go ahead, John. What's the caution?
So Taylor did not win over at the Thunder Mountain Speedway. He has a feature win over at the Southwest Speedway in Dickinson.
Dang it. I was thinking of Tim Goodwin.
How about you take the super stock driver we talked about earlier?
DJ Keeler, yes, who put on a good set of miles this weekend and raced over in the, oh gosh, now I gotta think hard. Where did he race? Was it Gillette?
Hold that thought. No, wasn't Gillette.
Electric City
It
then.
was, I think it's get my notes. Wrong page.
Well, all he does that he put on
Electric
the
City.
miles. Electric City. Yeah, so he put on the miles, got a great win over there. Of course, his entire area besides Hibbing rained out, and so definitely going somewhere where he could get a feature win, and always has some of the sharpest looking cars too. It definitely has some of the great paint schemes out there, and so those are our wins of the week for episode 11. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up this fun and chaotic filled episode? Really fitting for the weekend.
Mason, where are you going this weekend so we can avoid those racetracks?
Yeah, we need to plan.
Pretty much wherever the street stock tour goes, that's where you can find me. Although I don't know beyond that what I'm going to do.
Okay, so Mason will be in Fergus Falls on Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday, the street stock tour goes where they go, Mason.
They go to
Yeah,
Glendon,
going-
Buffalo River Speedway.
Yeah.
Really?
So just
Yep.
I thought
plan
they were only doing
accordingly,
double
race
headers.
fans. Bring an umbrella.
Well, we'll see if I survive Saturday to go anywhere. Marathon might take me out. We'll see, we'll see on that.
I could drive you around. I'll be there for the 10K.
Oh, that's right. You'll
mean-
be there.
I mean, Kayla will be in town as well. She can just pick you up, and you two both can take your moisture over to the speedways.
Well, she's also running the 10K too, so be careful.
So you're saying it might rain at this race?
It wouldn't be the first time I ran a full marathon in rain.
Ick.
Awful.
Ick.
And none of us are surprised by that.
No,
Why does this not sound fun?
well, you only have 6.2 miles, so you'll survive.
Ick.
Well, anyways, with that, that'll do it for episode 11 of season 3 for the Track Packers podcast. As always, be sure to like, share, and follow us on Facebook, Track Packers Podcast. Follow us on Spotify, Google, and Apple for the listening portion. Thank you to our sponsors, Hitch Harness, Issac Hot Sauce Sondrol, and The Real Deal with B1. Hopefully, Mother Nature gives us a break and lets us have a good weekend of racing, and we will see you out there packing the track.